Hi everyone, this is Ida with justcreate.com. I just want to show you a product that we just picked up, and it's inspired by famous brand logos. So these are some of the samples I made, and there's Coco Chanel, Louis Vuitton, Starbucks. There's another Coco Chanel there. So I'm going to show you how to use this mold. I'll show you what the mold looks like. Let me move these cupcakes out of the way, and I'm going to show you what the mold looks like. There's the mold, and as you can see, you get several different ones. You got Adidas, a couple of Louis Vuitton, a couple of Coach, Chanel, and then you get one that's just a plain crown with some stars. You have Starbucks here, and it's a fairly thick mold, but it's silicone, so it's very flexible. So when you go to unmold, pop out your molds, it's very flexible. You can bend it to get your molds out. So I'm going to show you how to use this mold first, and then I'm going to show you how to decorate these cupcakes. So all you have to do for the Starbucks, I'm just going to do the green. Now you can do the white, and if you're really good at painting like small details, then I would say do it in white and then add your colors afterwards. I'm not very good with small details, so I'm just going to do it in green. So I'm going to take a small piece of fondant, and in order for your fondant not to stick to your hands, you just want to put a little bit of Crisco on your hands, and this kind of need your fondant. So this we already tinted green. Make a little ball, and we're just going to put it inside the Starbucks mold. Now see how it's overfilled like that? You don't want that. So what you're going to do is take something that doesn't have a sharp edge, because you don't want to cut your mold, and just kind of scrape a little bit on the top off, and then you can continue to press it. Now if you take too much out, for example the way I just did, you can always add a piece in there. It's not going to hurt it or anything like that. And make sure you squeeze it in there nice and firm. That way you get all the details that are in your mold. And I always try to, I don't know if you can see this, but the edge around the mold, my fondant is all inside that edge. I don't want anything that seeps out, because then you don't get a clean finish. So I make sure everything's in there. So we're going to use the green for the Starbucks. And I'm going to show you how to do one that has two colors. Now this one's a little bit bigger, so I can get this one, but if it's like a really small one, I won't be able to do it. But I can do it on this one over here, because the seeds are actually a little bit bigger. So I'm going to get a small piece of white fondant and knead it. Now I'm going to put it over the seeds, and I don't know if you can see that. See how it's cut in there? All these little the seeds right here. That's where you want to get your white fondant. You don't want it out here where the quilted pattern is. Just inside that seed cavity. So all I'm doing is just kind of working my finger back and forth, working that fondant in there, in that cavities, until I get it all in that little logo there. Now once I have it where I want it, and if I have excess fondant that's just too much, I'll use this tool to kind of scrape it out, because here in the middle, see, there isn't supposed to be any. And you can see because there's a little quilted pattern right there in that little section. So I just took that one out. There's not supposed to be any on anything but that deep crevice in there with the logo. So anything else, I just use this little tool, scrape some out, and then I just keep working it with my fingers until I get it nice and clean in there. And you know, it does take a little finessing to do this, but if you take your time, you'll have great results. So I'm thinking this looks fairly good. Maybe a little bit more on this side. I'm going to scrape out a little bit more here. Now make sure your fondant's not too soft, because if it is, you're going to have a hard time when you go to unmold it. I'm going to teach you a trick on how to do it, but sometimes when your fondant is just too soft, you're still going to have that problem. So this, like I said, it's a little time consuming, but as you can see, I just have it in that deep channel that was in there. So that's what it's supposed to look like. There's nothing in the quilt part. So now I'm going to add in my second color, which is going to be, I'm going to do black. So I'm going to get a small piece of black fondant, and I'm going to knead it again. Roll it into a little ball, and then I'm just going to put it on top of that white that was in there. And I don't have too much extra on here, so I'm just going to leave it and get a nice thick medallion. So I'm going to leave it like that. Now, right here on the LV, this is a little tricky because you have to make sure you get into all these little crevices in here. So let's do that one next. So I'll show you how to do that one. And you're going to do basically the same thing that I did on the Chanel one with the 2 C's. Just kind of work the fondant in there. So I'm going to knead it first. Put a little crisp on my fingers, make sure it doesn't stick. And then I'm just going to work it. As you can see, I'm just moving my fingers back and forth, trying to work it in there. Now I know this is quite a bit, so I'm just going to pull this out. And whatever I have left, I'm going to keep working it in there until it's in all the crevices. I see I have quite a bit here still, so I'm going to take that off and scrape some of this down here. Now remember, if you need to put some back, you can always add a little bit more in there. So that's what I'm going to do right here. But you want to make sure you have everything filled up, because if you don't, it's not going to come out. Your design's not going to look the way you want it to, or the way it's supposed to. So I'm adding this little extra in there. There it is. Now you're going to make sure that you don't have any on the outside. See this little cut in there? You got to make sure your fondant is not covering that up. So there's that one. That wasn't too bad now, was it? Okay, let's do the little handbag here. So I'm going to do that in silver. And what I did on the cupcake is I did it in silver, and then I went in with some edible, it's a new paint by Rainbow Dust, and it's a black paint, and it goes on just like regular acrylic paint would, but this is edible paint. So that's what I'm going to use to color in this, the 2 C's and the little border on the handbag. So I'm going to just do it all in the light gray or silver. Again, I'm going to knead it with my fingers, and all you need is a little piece, and just work it in there. Make sure it's all in that little handle there. And just by working my finger back and forth, that's how I get that filled in. Now I can see there's a bunch here, so I'm going to take some out. There you go. That wasn't too difficult. There's that one. Now the last one I'm going to do is this one, and I'm going to do this one in I'm going to do the white inside here, the logo, and then the other part I'm going to do it in black. Or maybe I'll reverse it. How about I do those in black, and the rest in white. So here's my little piece of fondant. Actually, no, I'm going to do it all in black, and then I'm going to show you how to add color to the logo. So here's my black. Sorry about my phone, everybody. Now I'm going to work it into the mold. And because I don't have to work it into the logo, this is fairly easy. But when I take it out, I'm going to show you how to add color to that. So what you're going to do with these, you're going to, if you try and take them out right now, they wouldn't hold the shape because fondant is soft. Now you can also use this with gum paste to make it a little bit harder, but what I do is I'll stick it in the freezer for about 10 minutes and then I'll show you what that looks like. Let me go ahead and pop this in the freezer, and I already have some ready for you, so you don't have to wait the 10 minutes. But I do want to show you how to paint them and stuff. So I'm going to pop these in the freezer for a few minutes. Okay, what you're going to need when you do your cupcakes, it's up to you if you want to have a little mound like this, but if you want them to be straight, just straight across, after you have your cupcake done, just take a serrated edge knife and just trim it, and that gives you your flat. That gives you your flat top that you want, if you don't want it to be domed. Some people like it, some people don't. So we're just going to add buttercream to this. And we're just going to ice it. And you want to keep your edges pretty clean because you don't want your icing to seep out. So at the end of this video, I'm actually going to unmold the ones I took out, the ones I put in the freezer, because I want you to see how easy it is for for the molds to come out. So what we're going to do here, we're going to roll out a piece of, I'm going to do white. I'm going to do a white fondant with this cupcake. I'm going to do a white because, actually, you know what? I'm going to do the silver because I'm going to do the Chanel one on top, and it's black already, so I'm going to do it in this color. So you're going to roll out your fondant, and you're going to use, whether it's a glass, a biscuit cutter, anything that you have that's the same dimension as your cupcake all the way around. So I actually have cutters that are a bunch of circles, and I have one that actually fits perfect on the cupcake. So that's what I'm going to use. And I'm just going to cut that out. Take off the excess. Now when you do that, make sure you wrap your fondant in saran wrap because you don't want it to dry up because it will start to crack, and you don't want that. Now let's say I wanted to put a pattern on this cupcake. I could just, this is actually a, it's made by Patchwork, and it's for embossing on cakes. So I'm going to try this on here and see what that looks like. Sometimes you might need to put a little cornstarch on it so it won't stick, but I'm just going to try it like this. See the pattern I have going on there? So that's a really great look on there. So I'm going to get my cupcake, and I'm actually going to dust this in silver. But for now, let's just put it on the cupcake. And it's a little thin because I didn't have a whole lot of silver. But here we go. So just put it over your cupcake, like so. It's a little big on here because I kind of trimmed it quite a bit, but you can just by working it around, you know, you can squeeze it back in if you need to. It's not a big deal. So there's my cupcake. So I'm going to do this one. Remember I told you I was going to teach you how to do the colors? Well, all I did with this one, after I popped it out, I actually just used some edible luster dust in a silver color, and it's a metallic silver. And just with a small fine point brush, just a regular paint brush, and I would just dip it in the powder and just go over the two C's, because that's the only thing I wanted to highlight. But I'll show you that when the other ones come out. But I'm just telling you what I did to it. So I'm just going to set this on top. And look at that beautiful cupcake. So let's say you want to make it a little bit more fancy, like this one with the roses on it. This is just a strip of fondant, and I made, it's called ribbon rose. So, or a rolled rose, and I'll show you how I did that. And I'm going to do that in black. So all you do is roll out a piece of fondant. Just want a little strip, depending on how big you want your rose. I don't want this one really big. So all I have to do is take either a pizza cutter or an X-Acto that you use strictly for your cakes. So this, I'm using my X-Acto, and I'm going to make a strip. Put my fondant away. And all I'm going to do is fold this onto itself in half, just like this. There you go. And just take this piece. Now the beginning, just kind of push it down like that. And then all you have to do is just start rolling and pinching. See how I gather it there and pinch it? That's all you need to make your rose. And you can make it as small or as big as you want. There it is. And then all you have to do is just trim off the bottom here. And usually it'll stick to itself. You don't have to add any kind of edible glue or anything to it. So we're just going to pop this right here next to, let's move the logo over some, and we'll pop it right next to the logo. So there's that. See the ribbon rose? And you don't have to make it that big. You can make it smaller, but it's totally up to you. And if you don't want, you don't have to emboss anything. So you can see here the embossing. And I'm actually going to do the silver on here so I can show you what that looks like. So let me grab that real quick. So I have a bigger brush here. And hopefully it doesn't have any color on it. And there's actually a little bit of silver already on my lid. And I'm just going to brush this and see the sparkle on there. And that just really, I had some color on there. That just dresses up your cupcake. And that's all you have to do. And there you have a fancy cupcake. Now if you had some stamens or something, you could actually stick them in the middle of your flower. And then you would have stamens in your flower. But we're just going to keep it simple like that. So there's the first one. Now I'm going to show you, we're going to do the Starbucks one, and I'm going to do a quilted pattern on that. So we're going to do that one in white, because the colors for Starbucks are white, green, and black. So I'm going to need the small piece of fondant. Roll this out. And this I can keep fairly thick, not like the silver one, because I have plenty of white. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut out my ring. And I already have a cupcake that's iced. And it's pretty dome shaped. But I'm going to go with it. So if I want to do a quilted pattern on this, all I have to do is grab any kind of tool and just make score lines on it. Not real deep, but enough that you can see them. And then I'll go in the other direction. And that gives you your quilted pattern. Now, if you wanted to add something here, you could actually add some drudgies, silver or gold or whatever color you wanted to do. Now I'm going to pick this up and I'm just going to drape it over the cupcake, and I'm going to work it around the cupcake to seal it. But it does look good domed as well. It's just, you know, your personal preference. Let's clean that up. So there it is. Now what I'm going to do, as you can see, I actually have a couple of them on here. One I did plain green, and I didn't paint it at all. And I added a couple of little, you can add real coffee beans or you can just make them out of fondant. And this one I actually painted Starbucks coffee in black. So you can do either or. So I'm going to use this one on this cupcake. And all you need to do, if you want the logo to stand up, just grab a toothpick. You might want to cut a piece off. It depends on how. I'm going to cut a little piece off because I think it would be too tall. So all you do is just kind of stick it in the back of your medallion here. And just stick that in your cupcake. And there's the Starbucks one. Take a little bit of brown for your little beans, unless, like I said, you can use real beans, coffee beans, and it'll give it a great aroma. And even if, especially if you make the cupcake to be like some kind of mocha flavor. So I just make a little oval like this. Oops. And then I just take my little tool and just kind of insert it there. And just put one up here. Do the same thing with this one. Make a little semi-oval acorn looking thing. Pinch it in there. And there. There are my coffee beans. So there's the Starbucks one. So like I said, these molds are very easy to use. Now I'm going to go ahead and take the mold out, and I'm going to show you how easy it is for them to come out of the mold. So let me move this one back. I'm going to grab the mold. And this one probably hasn't been in there 10 minutes, but it might be enough. So that's what it looks like after sitting in the freezer for about 10 minutes. And if you notice, all I have to do is pull on the back and they just pop out. See that? See how good this one looks? But you do have to take your time if you want to get those clean edges. Now let's take out this one. Here's the handbag. And sometimes you do have to help it along, so it helps to have a tool, any kind of tool, to help you kind of work it out. Because I noticed that the Louis Vuitton is a little bit harder to get out. But hey, it made a liar out of me. It popped right out. So there it is. There's nothing left in the mold. Everything comes out. And these you can just wash with warm soapy water if you want to. You know, and make sure you keep it in some kind of plastic to keep it dust free. But like I said, it's got several, not just these that I made. There's some that I didn't make, and they're on this mold. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different molds on there. So I'm going to set this aside. And I'm going to show you, there's the Louis Vuitton, there's the Chanel, Starbucks, another Chanel, and here's another Chanel. Now this is the one I told you that I was going to do in black, and I was going to show you how to paint it to make it look like silver buckles. Now if you have lemon extract or vodka, you would actually put a little bit in a tray, like a painter's tray like this, and you would put a little bit of the powder in here and vodka, just very little, or lemon extract, and you would paint this and it would give it a metallic shine. So it would actually look metallic. I'm just using the powder dry, but you can add vodka or something to it. So I'm going to put a little bit on my lid. I don't want to go crazy. And all I'm going to do, if you're going to see that, I'm just going to brush over it. And it's going to give it that. I'm just brushing over the seeds. And it's going to give it that metallic look, but not as much as if I had used the lemon extract or the vodka. Can you see that? I hope that you can see this. There it is. That's how you do that. Now, like I said, if you had used lemon extract or vodka, it would look metallic. So there's that one. If you do it all solid, that's how you paint those. Unless you have the rainbow dust acrylic paints, then you can use those with a fine tip brush. There's the other one where I use white fondant and black fondant. There's the Starbucks just in green. Now, let me put this in my hand because I want you to see how good that design is in there. Now, if you have a steady hand and a very small paintbrush, you can actually paint those letters any color you want. But typically, I think they are white. And then here's the little handbag. How cute is that? Now, to paint, in order to paint this one, this is where I use the rainbow black metallic paint. And there's actually some already on inside the lid. So I'm just going to use very little. And all you do is go over the two C's. That's all you have to do. It's not hard at all, especially if you have good eyesight and a steady hand. You'll be doing better than me, that's for sure. And I don't have a very steady hand, and these are not very hard to paint, even for me, so there you go. And then I did a little bit more, and I painted this strip up here. Now, you don't have to, but that's just what I did. There you go. There's your handbag. Now, how hard was that? Imagine one in pink and chocolate. That would look awesome. Make it all in pink and then add the color in black or in chocolate. That would be really nice. So I hope you guys liked the video. And please, I'm going to put all these logos here. There's some that I didn't even show you. There's a couple of the Louis Vuitton ones. There's these. Starbucks, a handbag. Here's Adidas. Here's another Coco Chanel. And here's another one. So there's, like I said, 10 cavities in that mold, and you can make any one of these, and your cupcakes would look just as good as mine. Here are my cupcakes. Let me move these out of the way. And that's what I did with them. So I hope you guys liked my video. Make sure to visit www.justcreate.com if you're interested in this mold. It should be on the web store already. And like I said, you know, it wasn't very hard. You know, I hope that this helps you out whenever you're creating one of these specialty things, whether it's a bridal shower, a wedding, even just a plain birthday party. You know, you can make your own. You don't have to go and pay top dollar. This is very simple to do on your own. So I hope you guys like my video, and y'all have a great day. Thank you.